It's a very warm welcome to all our viewers and welcome to a new episode of Africa Today, our show that brings you all the latest news and developments in the African continent. I'm Angie Meher joining you for today's edition of the show, and as usual we begin straight away with a look at some of the news making the headlines, and beginning with news from home. Cairo has welcomed a letter from US President Donald Trump offering to relaunch American mediation in the long-running dispute over the Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. In a statement, Cairo reaffirmed its commitment to cooperation over the issue, while stressing that the Nile is the lifeline for the Egyptian people. We have more details in this report.
In a statement, Cairo expressed appreciation to US President Donald Trump's efforts to promote peace and stability at the regional and international levels, as well as his recognition of Egypt's pivotal role in supporting regional security. In his letter dated January 16 and addressed to Sisi, Trump said he was ready to resume US mediation between Egypt and Ethiopia to responsibly resolve the dispute over Nile water sharing. He warned that tensions surrounding the dam should not escalate into military conflict, expressing hope that the disagreement would be settled through negotiations. Trump said Washington understands the deep significance of the Nile River to Egypt and its people, stressing that no state should unilaterally control the river's resources to the detriment of its neighbors. He added that with fair and transparent negotiations, technical expertise, and a strong U.S. role in monitoring and coordination, a lasting agreement among Nile Basin countries was achievable. According to the letter, Trump said any agreement should guarantee predictable water releases during droughts and prolonged dry periods for Egypt and Sudan, while allowing Ethiopia to generate substantial electricity from the dam. Sisi reiterated commitment to serious and constructive cooperation with Nile Basin countries in accordance with international law and the principle of not causing significant harm in a manner that safeguards shared interests. He said he had sent a reply to Trump expressing his thanks and appreciation, reaffirming Cairo's position and concerns regarding water security, voicing support for U.S. mediation efforts, and expressing his aspiration to maintain close coordination with Washington in the coming phase. Sudan also voiced support for the U.S. initiative. Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, head of Sudan's Transitional Sovereign Council, said Khartoum welcomes and supports Trump's mediation on Nile waters. He described it as an effort to reach sustainable and mutually satisfactory solutions that preserve the rights of all parties and contribute to long-term security and stability in the region. Egypt, home to around 108 million people, depends on the Nile for approximately 90% of its freshwater needs. Sisi cautioned in August 2025 that anyone who believes Egypt will turn a blind eye to threats to its water security is mistaken. Sudan has similarly called for a binding legal framework governing the dam's operation, although it could benefit from flood regulation and access to cheaper electricity. Ethiopia, meanwhile, maintains that the GARD is a sovereign right and a regional development opportunity, and has continued filling the dam's reservoir since 2020.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and for more on this, we're delighted to be joined over the telephone by our guest for the afternoon, His Excellency Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, the former Assistant Foreign Minister. Very good afternoon to you, Mr. Ambassador.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Fine, thank you, sir, and thank you, Your Excellency, for your time. Let me start, Mr. Ambassador, in a letter dated January 16th, addressed to President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. US President Donald Trump said he's ready to resume US mediation between Egypt and Ethiopia to, quote, responsibly resolve the dispute over Nile water sharing. How do you elaborate on this, Your Excellency, and what is meant, in your opinion, by responsibly resolve this dispute?
I think the official response of Egypt, that we should welcome, of course, those who are trying to help us negotiating with Ethiopia. Same time as Gamal Bayoumi, I would prefer to deal direct with this position with Ethiopia without intermediation, because I have to pay the price for this, and I don't need. Reading thoroughly the situation, I am not allergic about what is happening in Ethiopia, because God help us that now we are facing in Ethiopia a contrary position if you compare it with 3-4 years ago, that the water is in a surplus, that they left the water goes to Sudan. Sudan was flooded by water. We were taking care of this preparing ourselves for more and more water by opening all the reservoirs in order to absorb the water coming to us. And I hope that this will encourage Ethiopia to come to reason and to negotiate directly with Egypt and with Sudan. Why should we need a mediator from the United States? But anyway, the official position, and I take it honestly, that we welcome whoever is trying to bring us with Ethiopia in a good relations in the coming future.
Indeed, Mr. Ambassador. Now, the letter addressed by President Donald Trump stressed that no state should unilaterally control Nile resources to the detriment of its neighbors. How significant, in your opinion, is this wording specifically for Egypt's legal and diplomatic position on the Ethiopian Renaissance Dam?
Yes, because we are not dealing with a strange matter that we don't have precedents for it. If you live in Europe, I lived in Europe several times, that there are many rivers, which is international rivers, crossing many borders and many countries. Do we have to study this again? And of course, no single country can behave by itself or take a decision by itself without informing and consulting with the other countries which is sharing the same river. Here we are asking to implement the international law concerning the international rivers, and here in the Blue Sea, in the Blue River Nile, we are asking for the same. So I think our negotiation position is very strong.
Yes. And Mr. Ambassador, this leads me to my next question regarding the letter by Trump. He warned that tensions surrounding the dam should not escalate into military conflict, of course expressing hope that the disagreement would be settled through negotiation. How important do you see the stress on this part of the letter, sir?
I don't like to mingle things without reason. I mean, the problem of the Ethiopia dam, it is separated from Ethiopia want to intervene in other countries like Somalia, for instance. We have to deal with each matter separately. We mingle the things between this and that. It's not in our favor at all. And we shall deal with every matter in our concern one by one, not to mingle things together, because this will put us in a position which we do not know where we are. The River Nile is a very strong case, and we have to deal with it like that. If we talk about the navigation and the intervention in Somalia, this is something totally different, and the international law should be applied there.
Yes, indeed, Mr. Ambassador. Now, the U.S. has proposed, monitoring and coordination mechanisms. What kind of guarantees, sir, or oversight would Egypt like to see in any American-sponsored framework in this regard?
I would like to consider the United States as a friend of Egypt, because we have long history, and of course, the United States is a very close friend to Egypt, and we have strategic discussions all the time and negotiations. And at top level of both countries, there are very respectable relations. Talking about President Trump or President Fattah al-Sisi, they are in a very direct position to talk to us, to themselves. So here we have to deal, we have to encourage United States to behave in this way, like a friend, and also we seize the opportunity that they are friends to others side. Then there is a possibility to understand the situation much better.
Indeed, Mr. Ambassador.
Let us do it like that, and we should expect from the United States to stay as a main trade partner and main development partner.
Indeed. Mr. Ambassador, now Trump said, of course, any agreement should guarantee predictable water releases during times of drought or prolonged dry periods for Egypt and Sudan, allowing Ethiopia as well to generate substantial electricity from the dam. How attainable are these goals, Your Excellency, in your opinion?
In my knowledge, I think that we offered Ethiopia in some time, years ago, that we can build the dam like what we did in other countries. And if they generate electricity with the dam, and it is much more than their need for electricity. So we are ready also to connect them with our electrical net, because we have a huge electric net. And I think yesterday the President was talking about this ability of Egypt to be a producer and exporter of energy, whether it is electricity, gas or oil, to Europe. And now we are establishing 2 lines to send our gas to Europe and to send our electricity to Europe. Mind you also that we are not connecting the electric net from north to south. No, we are having a huge electric net connection from Baghdad in the far east till Casablanca in the far west, then to Europe through Morocco and Spain, and here from Egypt to between Egypt and Greece and Cyprus.
Absolutely.
So this is a good offer. We can deal with it with our friends in Ethiopia.
Yes, indeed. Okay, I'd like to leave it at that. I'd like to thank you very, very much. Your Excellency, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister, thank you so much, sir, for your time and your insight on today's edition of Africa Today. And now we move to Uganda, where President Yoweri Museveni was declared the winner of the country's election on Saturday. The win grants Africa's longest-serving leader a 7th term in office. We have the details in this report.
Veteran President Yoweri Museveni was declared the landslide winner of Uganda's presidential election on Saturday, extending his rule into a 5th decade after a contest marred by violent incidents and allegations of fraud. The result hands the 81-year-old Museveni the decisive victory he sought to bolster his political position as speculation mounts about his eventual succession. Uganda's Electoral Commission said at a ceremony in the capital Kampala on Saturday that Museveni had received just under 72% of the vote. His main challenger, the pop singer turned politician Bobi Wine, was credited with 24%. Wine has alleged mass fraud during the election, which was held under an internet blackout that authorities said was needed to prevent misinformation and called on supporters to protest. Wine's whereabouts were unknown on Saturday after he said he had escaped a raid by the military on his house. People close to him said he was at large in Uganda. Observers say Museveni's win came as little surprise. Since taking power in 1986, he has changed the constitution twice, removing age and term limits and dominating state institutions.
And for our final news item, Army helicopters rescued people stranded on rooftops, and hundreds of tourists and workers were evacuated from one of the world's biggest game reserves. This came as torrential rains and flooding in 3 countries in southern Africa have killed more than 100 people. We have the details.
The death toll across South Africa, Mozambique and Zimbabwe is an accumulation after weeks of heavy rains. Weather services issued warnings that more rain was on the way, possibly bringing more destructive flooding. Mozambique was the hardest hit, with flooding across swathes of the country's central and southern provinces. Its Institute for Disaster Management and Risk Reduction said 103 people had died in an unusually severe rainy season since late last year, though that count included deaths from various causes, including electrocution from lightning strikes, drowning in floods, infrastructure collapse caused by the severe weather, and cholera. More than 200,000 people have been affected in Mozambique. Thousands of homes have been damaged and tens of thousands face evacuation. The statement was made by the World Food Programme. In neighboring South Africa, officials said Friday the death toll from floods in 2 northern provinces had risen to at least 30, with rescue efforts ongoing. Flooding has also hit the island nation of Madagascar as well as Malawi and Zambia. The United States Famine Early Warning System said flooding was reported or expected in at least 7 southern African nations, possibly due to the presence of the La Nina weather phenomenon that can bring heavy rains to parts of southeastern Africa. The South African Army was using helicopters to pluck people to safety as they took refuge on rooftops or in trees in the northern Limpopo province. Tourists and staff were evacuated at Kruger Park. South Africa's famous Kruger National Park, which covers some 22,000 square kilometers across Limpopo and Mpumalanga provinces, has been affected by severe flooding. Around 600 tourists and staff members have been evacuated from camps to high-lying areas in the park.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of today's edition of Africa Today. We do hope you have enjoyed it. You're in the company of myself, Angie Meher. Thank you for watching.